So, is it obsessive-compulsive disorder, or OCD, or am I simply a perfectionist? Well, I got to tell you the story. I've mentioned several times in these vlogs that I like to read, and books are important to me. And I do most of my reading on my tablets. I have a Nook. I forgot this one is called, a glow light, I guess. It's one of those black and white ones that you have to recharge like only once a month or so. And then I have a Nook Color, which I have to recharge like almost every day if I use it a lot. It's got a brighter and it's got a different kind of a screen, so it uses more electricity. Anyways, that's what I read my books on. And I'm fussy. I'm a bit of a perfectionist, okay, when it comes to these books. I'll tell you a story. I was reading the Harry Potter books. Again, I've read all of them at least 3 times. I was talking to a friend about it, telling him that there's some of the wording that I don't like. Well, I have on my computer a program called Sigil, S-I-G-I-L. It's an EPUB editor. And if you go onto my website, mobilehomegourmet.com, I have a free cookbook that's got 200 recipes in it. My first 200 recipes that I put on my website, it's in a cookbook, the Mobile Home Gourmet, and I created the entire book in Sigil because it's an EPUB. It's an EPUB editor, and the book is in EPUB format, which works well on things like this. Most e-readers nowadays can handle EPUBs. Anyways, I was reading the J.K. Rowling books, and I just mentioned to a friend I don't like the fact that she, Rowling, would often refer to the hospital wing as a dormitory. And I said, no, it's not a dormitory. A dormitory is where the students sleep. The hospital wing is an infirmary. So I had the books in EPUB format, and I would go in and change the words so that it wouldn't say dormitory when referring to the hospital wing at Hogwarts. I changed it to infirmary. And my friend looked at me and he said, "You're editing J.K. Rowling?" Yeah, I am. But like I said, books are important to me. I mentioned it, I think, in one of my latest vlogs, A Room with a View. There are several versions that have the same error in them, but I found a good version at the local library that I could figured out what the wording was supposed to be, and I corrected it. I forgot now what something like she did something like she rose like a maniac or something. I forgot what the wording was, but I fixed it. So my version is correct. Well, what with Donald Trump being our president now, I couldn't resist. I had to go back and read again Woodward and Bernstein's book, All the President's Men. Now, this isn't my copy because I have an EPUB version. This is a really awful book. It's practically falling apart. But this is from the local library. It's from the university library. I used to work at the university. And if I can get a book at the university library, rather than the local town library, I can keep it a lot longer. Here it is, June 1st. This book is due back October 9th. I can keep it for months. I won't, but it gives me a lot more time. The local town library, the city library, they'll loan you a book for 3 weeks. They do have a copy of the book, but it's out on loan, and it won't be due back in the library until the end of this month. I didn't want to wait. The university library has 3 of these, and all 3 of them are on the shelf. I got the worst one, the one that was falling apart, because at least when I'm working with it, it'll stay open. The other versions, the binding was still too crisp, and it would just close on its own. I didn't like that. I wanted it to be able to stay open while I'm working with it. And what I'm doing is, this is the OCD part. This is the perfectionist part, is I have it on my computer, and I'm going through and I'm correcting. I'm correcting the structure, because whoever created the EPUB, they didn't do it right. They didn't pay attention to paragraph breaks and so forth. And it was all, and I could tell when I was reading it that it wasn't right. There's another thing right there. Did you hear that noise? That's what I do a lot. And so when I'm editing these videos, perfectionist again, I wear headphones and I listen for all these spurious sounds, and I will edit those out so the audio in my videos is as clean as possible. But anyways, that's what I'm doing, is I've got the book and I'm going through chapter by chapter. This blue post-it note means I'm currently working on, I'm starting to work on chapter 10, and I'm even doing some of my own format ideas, like where there's a scene break. I like the first paragraph to not be indented, the first line indented. I want it out to the edge. That's a stylistic choice. What can I say? It's not OCD, but some books are important to me, and I want them to be right. And so when I do something, I want it to be as close to perfect as possible. It's like some people are surprised to know that I tailor. I learned how to tailor when I was in college. I make my own shirts. These shirts that you see, I call these my show shirts. They're like, to me, they're costumes. I want them to be perfect. So I'm very, very fussy about how I make them. Motorcycle going by. Anyways, I won't admit that it's OCD, because OCD is a disorder, and disorder means it disrupts your life. To me, I consider this to be more like, sort of like being a perfectionist. I can let things go. I've read books that I didn't like the way they were formatted, but I didn't care because the book wasn't important to me. But books like this that I know I'm going to want to go back to again, because it's such a... This was about the Watergate issues and what happened with Watergate, and Bernstein and Woodward, as they were uncovering all the facts about Watergate that eventually led to the resignation of President Nixon. To me, this is a really important book, and I want my copy, because I know I'm going to end up reading it again someday. I might as well get it to be as enjoyable as possible, so I don't have to fuss over how it was formatted and what does this mean, and I don't. When I'm enjoying a book, I want to just be able to sit and enjoy it. So anyways, that's kind of what I wanted to comment on today. Is it OCD or is it perfectionism? Maybe not even, maybe neither one of them. Maybe I'm just fussy.